Alright, so AI. You might have heard of it.
If AI is left unchecked, it poses a, quote, risk of extinction.
So not that AI, this AI.
AI is the new reality in classrooms across the country.
So how many of you use the AI like ChatGPT or Bard in this discussion?
So today what we're going to be doing is having a look at whether AI can level the playing field between the rich and the poor to find out whether AI can generate coaching plans. So today what we're going to be doing is putting in some direct instructions to ChatGPT. Basically, AI works the best the more direct and explicit you are. So I'm going to ask it to spit me out a VO2 Max developer plan and an FTP building plan. And I'm going to be pretty explicit giving it my VO2 Max and my FTP numbers, or the most recent ones that I have available. I'm then going to send that plan that it spits out to my friend Alex, who is a proper cycling coach. He's going to have a look over what gets churned out of ChatGPT for a 4-week program with 2 sessions a week, and he's going to let me know whether he thinks that this is actually viable or whether this stinks to high hell. Basically, do we have to worry about the Terminator and the rise of machines sort of deal, or can we sit back and chill a little bit because AI is still a little bit dumb? So anyway, without further ado, let's get on to having a chat with Alex about this plan that I've just generated. Now, it should be said that in no way am I today suggesting at all that ChatGPT can take the place of a proper coach. Coaches are personalized. They work with you in order to tailor plans. They have years of knowledge. They're able to cater to your needs, and I am not trying to shit on coaches, and I am not trying to replace coaches with artificial intelligence. If you have the means, you should enlist a coach. Today's video is solely for the purposes of really a little bit of fun, and also to see whether if you are a student, if you're a kid, you know, the people at the grassroots of our cycling, can they use these new technologies in order to become better cyclists? Anyway, with that out of the way, let's find out. Okay, so we're here with Alex from Alex Boyk Coaching, and he's going to talk us through some of the positives and negatives of this AI program. So Alex, I'll go over to you.
Thanks, Aiden. So yeah, Aiden sent me 2 programs probably a couple of days ago, just the generated through ChatGPT, and just to cast my eyes over and see how it looks in terms of the coaching side of things and how it's sort of based around the programming. So the first thing I sort of said to Aiden was, before you put in anything to a chatbot, make sure your goals are set first. So we like to use SMART goals, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic or relevant, and time-based. So in terms of the questions or the statements that have gone into the chatbot, I've just sort of brought up, make it specific in terms of what you want to see the increase. So yeah, we've got a current VO2 max and the current FTP. Where do you want to go? Is it 10% higher? Is it, an increase of a few points? Just make it very specific, because that way at the end of the program, you can go, yes, I hit it, or no, I didn't hit it. Is it measurable? Yes, it is, because, we're going to measure VO2 max based on metrics and FTP. Achievable, definitely achievable, as long as it's based around the goals that you're setting in terms of the specificity. Realistic, so based on the statement to increase or the VO2 max or FTP, it is realistic and pretty relevant, and it's time-based, given 4 weeks. Okay, so let's have a quick chat about the VO2 max sessions. So I'm personally a big advocate for the 80-20 method, and if you've got a good base, this will set you up well for conducting this sort of program. So when we look at the VO2 max sessions, we're looking at ideal sessions between 105 to 120% of the FTP, and for around the 3 to 8 minute mark. Potentially using the shorter recoveries for shorter intervals, longer recoveries for longer intervals, and that way you can sort of maintain that The program itself is periodized quite well. It sort of ramps up towards as it goes through, and then the last week makes it a little bit easier, and hopefully sets you date for retesting post program to see if you have achieved the desired results. There is other methods out there being used. Is a 30-15 method, so 30 seconds of work, 15 rest. That will keep the heart rate high and sort of not let you have too much recovery, and really test out at that VO max level as well. But overall, the program has potential to increase VO2 max as long as you can measure it right, ideally in a lab, but obviously the wearables can, guesstimate your VO2 max as well over that 4-week period.
And that's where my VO2 max there of 52 comes from. That's just from my Garmin.
Yeah, exactly. So the metrics it sort of takes is a bit different because obviously it wants to capture the volume of oxygen the body is sort of using and it's taking in. However, it can't, realistically do that, 100% accurately. But, it has a very good guesstimation, and it gives you a figure that you can then work with. Okay, so then the FTP program. So when we look at the FTP, so that's average power someone can put out for 60 minutes. And, there's a few different tests you can do. The 20-minute test where you do a sustained effort for 20 minutes, times it by 0.95, and work out your FTP based on an hour. There's ramp tests as well. Every sort of platform has their own sort of tests to do with that. So you have that basic FTP of 275 watts that you've put in for the chatbot. Now, in terms of the sessions itself, same again, it's periodized quite well. It is structured quite well. It is the 2 sessions, again, per week. And they're both sort of going to achieve that increase in FTP. The only thing I would say with that is to increase the FTP, you want to be in that lactate threshold sort of work. So anywhere between about 90, 91% to 105. Bearing in mind that 100% is that FTP, which you've already been proven that you can sustain for 60 minutes. So when we look at the session itself or the sessions itself, there's not much time at or above FTP. So at 100% or above FTP. So realistically, I think this program will leave you underdone purely based on that fact because, like I said, you've already proven that you can hit 275 watts for an hour based on your FTP testing. However, the only session above FTP is on Saturday of week 3, where you're doing 6 by 6 minutes at 100 to 105 FTP with 4 minutes recovery. So you're essentially working for 36 minutes at or above FTP once over that whole period. There is a session on the Tuesday of week 4 where you are doing, cumulatively 60 minutes of 90 to 95% FTP, but you're having 10 minutes break in between. So realistically, that's also underneath where you sort of want to achieve as well. So overall, I think the FTP program will miss the mark just based on your current output already and, the ability to go above and beyond what you're already achieving over that certain time period as well. So where we break down in terms of chatbot, so for people that want to, just get a simple program from, say, ChatGPT or one of the chatbots, make sure the input that you put into the program or into the platform is, robust and gives it actual data or measurables to sort of spit out. Then just have a look at, there's plenty of resources online in terms of what zones or percentages you should be working in terms of what you want to achieve. So if it's VO2 max, you want to be working pretty hard. Then if it's that FTP, sort of at that threshold or just above. The difference between that and then a coach can sort of adapt on the fly. So if you have a really good session one day and you've hit the numbers, we can adapt and even educate session by session in terms of, cool, we're not going to do this session. Why are we going to do this session? Yeah, this will do this, where, a computer-generated program can then, it'll spit out what you need to do, but it doesn't really tell you why we're doing it or the reasons for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, really when we're talking about the benefits of coaches, this is it right here. Like being able to have a conversation this is what you pay your money for when it comes to coaching. It's quite easy. You could probably just Google really training programs or training platforms, and you could be given one with percentages to hit. It's that tailor-made sort of program, and also on top of that, the ability to have these conversations about why am I actually doing this? I feel, I used to do 30-15s. I always used to feel like I was, right on the edge of puking, and I want to know why I'm pushing myself so hard. What's the benefit that I'm looking at achieving from that? Otherwise, why would I not just choose other programs instead? So I think this is really where the value comes from. It's just whether that's affordable for you. And I think just from having the chat with you, people can see the benefit of having a coach. But, obviously cycling is an elite sport a lot of the time. Expensive bikes, expensive Zwifts, getting more expensive. So some people are looking to pinch pennies, and it seems like to an extent, as long as you put in the correct inputs, this is a viable strategy if you don't have the means to get a coach.
One other thing I would say as well is when you do testing, so you get a program for 4 weeks, you want to test pre and post. And that testing has to be pretty, sound and robust. So, so you can get an accurate, FTP figure or a lactate threshold heart rate figure that you're going to use, then input that data, then use that based on the percentages. So that way you get best bang for buck out of a program.
Yeah. And you can do those on Garmin, you can do them on Zwift, you can do them on MyWhoosh and IndieVelo, all have them, Wahoo as well. So, yeah, cool. All right, well, thanks, Alex. Appreciate you jumping on.
All right, good.
And, if you have any further questions, I'll put Alex's Instagram link in the description. You can contact him directly if you so choose. All right, cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, so I think the key takeaway here is that AI kind of sits between having a coach and you sort of one size fits all MyWhoosh, Zwift kind of programs where you just say, I want to do an FTP builder. You don't really get to input specific goals, and as a result, you're kind of doing a training program that's not malleable or flexible to your needs. So does this replace coaches? Absolutely not. And again, like I said, if you can afford a coach, you should be getting a coach if you want to improve your cycling. And there are some people that are perfectly happy just riding their bike and enjoying it. Man, I envy you. But if you don't have the means or the ways, AI is an option, providing you're explicit with those inputs and you do a little bit of reading to make sure that the information that you're getting is effective. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you're off to use AI to do your coaching, happy days. And if you want to get in touch with Alex, in the description. Oh, and subscribe.